Okay, now let's go back to John 17. Now, do you want me to address something more specific about John 17?
Yeah, why does he say the only true God is the Father?
Because in the Bible, each person of the Godhead acknowledges the deity of the other. In other words, Jesus recognizes the Father is the only true God because that's who he is. But in the same Bible, the Father also recognizes that Jesus is truly God, worthy of worship, the creator of heaven and earth. In other words, if God is not one person and you have distinct persons of God, all existing as the one God, then it shouldn't surprise someone that one person will recognize the deity of the other, that the Son recognizes the Father and the Spirit are God in union with me, and the Father recognizes that the Son and the Spirit are true God in union with me, because they're all one God, so that one can say to the other, you're God, right? And you are Lord, and you are the Creator. So as a Trinitarian, I have no problem with Jesus saying the Father is the only true God, because he is the only true God. The real question is he the only true God to the exclusion of the Son and the Spirit, or in union with them? So if you want me to show you that if we read that statement in context, Jesus says things that you will have to admit only God can say, which you'll reject. You're going to say, well, no, then Jesus couldn't have said it, because you started at 3. Let's go to verses 1 and 2. John 17, verses 1 and 2. Watch it. We're going to read it. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Jesus spoke these words, lifted up his eyes to heaven, and said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may also glorify you.
Now let's pause right there. You as a Muslim do not believe that Jesus could have said to God, Father, glorify your Son so that your Son may glorify you. In other words, Jesus is saying, in order for me to glorify you, you must glorify me. And you must glorify me the way I glorify you. Can a creature say that to Allah?
Never.
Say it again.
Never.
Never. And yet the same chapter you quoted, Jesus says, God is the Father, and I am the Son, whom the Father glorifies the same way I, the Son, glorify him. So if I were to take these verses, the last thing I could be is a Muslim. Maybe I could be someone else, but I can't be a Muslim because you don't believe Allah is Jesus' Father, and you don't believe that Allah, the Father of Jesus, glorifies Jesus, Isa, the way Isa glorifies him, because you'd say that's shirk. This is violation of Tawheed al-Uluhiyya, right?
Yeah.
Tawheed al-Ibad. For the people who don't know what these terms are, I'm not trying to sound intelligent. In Islam, there's something called Tawheed al-Ibadah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. It means Allah alone is to be worshipped and served. No one can be worshipped. This is what it means. Uluhiyya means to worship because he's God. Ibadah means to serve. So if Jesus was a Muslim, he can't say this because he is now saying not only he glorifies the Father glorifies him. And he'll tell you, as a Muslim, Allah glorifies no one. Does Allah glorify anybody?
No.
But he glorifies Jesus as his Son. I mean, Allah of the Bible. Now, verse 2 though.
As you have given him authority over all flesh, that he should give eternal life to as many as you have given him.
Now, is it not true in the Quran? And I'll give you the verses. You don't need to turn there. In chapter 17, verse 111, and chapter 25, verse 2, Allah does not share his dominion, his kingdom with anyone, and he doesn't have a son in his dominion, right? That's what the Quran says in those two places. Well, Jesus just said the Father has given him, the Son, authority over all flesh. That means he has sovereign authority over every human creature. That means you, me, your family, all the Muslims, and even, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, even Muhammad. Do you believe that?
No.
But that's what Jesus says in that chapter that you quoted. You quoted verse 3. But then he says something more astonishing. Yeah. He says, and not only have you given him authority over all flesh, that he, the Son may give eternal life to all that you've entrusted to him. So Jesus says, I, the Son, will give eternal life, life that never ends, to everyone whom the Father gives to me. Can a creature give never-ending, incorruptible life to anyone?
No.
But Jesus says, I give that life to everyone that the Father gives me. Meaning, if you want to live forever, and you want to live forever in perfect peace and be deathless, you got to turn to Jesus, and Jesus will preserve you in all believers forever. Does that sound like Jesus is a Muslim who thinks he's a creature, or does he sound like the Son who thinks he has the same power the Father does?
Yeah, this is Jesus in the Bible.
But you quoted John 17:3, right? This is John 17. Yes. You quoted 3. You gave me 3. But now, final one from this, verse 5. And then you can ask me another question about the Trinity.
And now, O Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was.
Now, do you believe that Jesus was there alongside the Father before the creation of the world in the same glory with the Father?
Never.
And do you believe that Jesus is now again with the Father side by side in the same glory in heaven?
No.
And do you believe that God is Jesus's Father in a unique way?
No.
So then why quote this verse? Doesn't help your case. It actually shows why Trinitarians worship Jesus with the Father and the Spirit.